the improvements that I felt in my life and in my body were so great that I wouldn't go back to alcohol. There was no reason. And so it never really was about, do I have a problem? But it was really, is alcohol making my life better?
You're watching Developing Potential with Diana Coulian.
Hi, friend. Welcome back. Today we're talking about a bit of a touchy subject, and that is alcohol. And what I want to share with you today comes from my experience. I've been free of alcohol for 8 months, and it's such a touchy subject because alcohol is so part of our lives and of our culture. And today I want to share my experience with you because I think that we're asking the wrong question. And for me, and I know for a lot of people, the question is always, do I have a problem? And if you can answer no, I don't have a problem. My alcohol use is not out of control. What's wrong with just having some fun? Then you're going to keep doing what you're doing. But if you ask the question, is my life better with alcohol? Then you can start to uncover some really interesting things. And that's what I've done. And when I first stepped back from alcohol, I was going to do it for 30 days because it was more of like a health challenge. Like, let's do 30 days without any wine. Let's see how I feel. And what happened was the improvements that I felt in my life and in my body were so great that I wouldn't go back to alcohol. There was no reason. And so it never really was about, do I have a problem? But it was really, is alcohol making my life better? And for me, the answer was no. No, in fact, alcohol was making my life worse, and living alcohol-free is making my life better. And so it's really exciting when you look at something from a different perspective. It really against the norm, because in the beginning, feel like maybe you're a party pooper or you're a wet blanket if you are the one that's not drinking, And there's social pressure, right? There's going out with the girls and girls' night out and parties. And there's so many reasons and opportunities in our lives to drink with our friends, right? And to celebrate. And it's just part of how we interact with one another. And so to take that first step to be like, you know what, I'm going to take a break from alcohol, you first have to kind of, go through the social anxiety of feeling like you're different than everybody. And so hopefully one of the things I can do for you today is to really give you permission to try something new and to give you permission to be different than your friends and maybe to make a different choice if that's something that you realize, hey, Diana shared 7 reasons to drink less, and these are things that really improved in her life. Like, maybe I'll try it. Like, maybe I want to see improvement in my life in these 7 areas. And so that's what I want to do today here with you. Again, and just realizing and respecting the fact that this is a touchy subject. And there's no judgment coming from me, certainly. Certainly had my share of GNOs and my share of wine tastings and all of that. So no judgment, and really just friend to friend. Here's how my life improved. I want to share it with you and then give you a little bit of a challenge to look and to ask yourself the right question. Don't ask yourself, is alcohol a problem? Ask yourself, is my life better with alcohol in it? So I'm going to go through these 7 things that I've found have just improved in my life. So the first thing is anxiety, and it's so many of us have anxiety to differing degrees. But when we drink alcohol, and when I would drink alcohol, I didn't realize that the alcohol was really contributing to my anxiety. And there's scientific reasons for this, and I won't get too technical, but it is interesting when you learn that there's a neurotransmitter in your brain, so there's this chemical in your brain called GABA that relaxes you. And then there's this other one called glutamate that excites your cells, right? And so we have this balance so that we're not too hyper, we're not too crazy, but we're not like low energy and dragging. Like, just the amount of balance that takes place in our brain is incredible. And so when we take in alcohol is going to calm us down like GABA. And so the balance of our own brain chemistry gets off. And then when we drink alcohol regularly, it's going to really change how much of the chemicals are made and released to be like, to make this very simple. And so when you find, if you do drink most nights of the week, you'll find that you start to feel a little agitated before it's time to drink. And you're not crazy. And I've felt this in the past where it's like, man, now I'm kind of antsy. What's happening is your brain chemistry has been altered because your brain is anticipating the alcohol. And so instead of making more GABA, which is going to naturally relax you, which is how we're designed, your body's waiting for the alcohol to come in and do that job. And so when the alcohol is not coming in, now you've got extra excitatory glutamate and you're kind of like antsy. And this extra energy is anxiety. And that's how we feel it, right? Or you might feel on edge or just kind of irritable or moody. And then this also kind of loops us into wanting to drink regularly because in the immediate, we feel some relief, right? If you're feeling that agitation, you're feeling that like anxiety, you have that first drink, and what happens is you calm down and you feel like, okay, this fixed my problem, which it's really a cycle, right? Because it's going to fix your problem for a little bit, but then it's going to create a bigger deficit. So it kind of loops you in. So stepping back from alcohol for those first 30 days, which I thought I would only do it for 30 days, but I felt so good, I kept going. You're going to just feel that naturally in your day, in your life, you have less anxiety. And that's an amazing thing, especially when you wake up in the mornings and you've had a great sleep and your head is clear. You're like, I don't have anxiety. Like, this is great. Okay, the second thing, and this is a little more on the shallow side, but it still matters to me, is it slows the aging process when we step away from alcohol. Because really, alcohol accelerates aging. And we can see this in our faces, we can see this in our skin, but really at a cellular level, just alcohol being a toxin coming into our body and aging our cells. And then there's dehydration, which adds to it, like having skin that's dehydrated and wrinkled and dull and maybe red, like maybe puffy. So when you step away from alcohol, you realize like, wow, my natural skin looks good. Like it looks so much better. There's more of a glow. There's more hydration in it. And you just kind of stop worrying about the fact that, you feel like you're looking older. Like that kind of goes away because your skin is looking so much better. Okay, the third thing that I noticed was my memory improved. And this is a big one for me because I'm in school and I'm really absorbing so much information right now. But I like it when I can recall things and when my memory is just like popping. And so when we're drinking alcohol, it actually can impact the hippocampus, and damage to this area of the brain can lead to deficits in our ability to take in new information, our ability to remember things. And so that's kind of like that brain fog that you might feel sometimes when you're like searching for a word or you're like, you can't remember somebody's name. All of that kind of like fog gets cleared up when our brains have been free from this toxin of alcohol for 30 plus days. And so for me, that was awesome. So I'm like, I want my brain to work well. The fourth reason to drink less alcohol is to have better relationships. And this is one that I didn't go into it thinking I needed or thinking, I didn't even think, okay, so I drink wine in the evenings. How does this negatively impact my relationships? But the way that my relationships have improved is in how I'm always present and consistent with my family. And there's moments that I've had, since stepping away from alcohol, later in the evening, having a heart-to-heart with one of my kids or having a conversation with a friend where you realize, like, I'm fully here emotionally, mentally, and if I had been drinking, I wouldn't have been fully here and available to really connect with somebody else. So I think just having the ability to connect with people and not putting yourself in an altered state where they're not really getting you, right? They're getting a different version of you. maybe it's a version your friends love because you're fun and you're crazy when you're drinking, but that's not the version that people who really want to connect with you, that's not the version that they're looking for. And so we know how when we're drinking, personality can change and our behaviors and our mood can change. And so when you step away from it, like just all of that gets taken off the table. You don't have to worry about, did I say something last night or did I do something? Did I hurt somebody's feelings, right? Because you're there, you're present. And so that was a cool one that I didn't go into it really looking for, but it's a benefit that I'm enjoying. The fifth reason to drink less alcohol is to sleep better and to wake up rested. So anybody who drinks knows that their sleep is negatively impacted. Maybe you fall asleep quickly, but it's not a restful sleep. And so really the science shows that the architect of our sleep, there's sleep cycles, and we need a certain amount of REM sleep and all of these different cycles to the sleep. And as your brain is having to deal with, kind of flushing the alcohol out of your system, all of that gets disrupted. And so maybe you're tossing and turning, you're waking up. It's not restful. And so we know just over the long term how important sleep is. And just on a life, day-to-day quality of life, getting good rest and doing everything you can with your lifestyle to promote good sleep, like that impacts every area of life. When you wake up rested and you wake up like having just restored yourself versus you tossed and turned, you woke up dehydrated with like cotton mouth, and your day is completely different. And so that's something that's just really nice to know, that you have the ability to go to bed, to get to sleep, to stay asleep, and to have really full restful sleep, and then to wake up ready to go. Okay, the sixth reason to drink less alcohol, and something that I've enjoyed, is just natural weight loss, right? Alcohol is empty calories. We all know this. And we justify it. And we try to take, we do the skinny drinks and we try to stay away from the sugary stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still all empty calories. And then when you're drinking it, you're not making the best food choices. And so when you just completely take alcohol off the table, you're able to have a better relationship with food. And you're able to just naturally lose some of that extra weight. So that's a pretty cool benefit that, again, I didn't go into it wanting to lose weight or thinking I needed, help with that, but it was just a nice benefit. The seventh reason, and there's a lot rolled into this one, but I just kind of did a blanket to improve health and longevity, because alcohol is a toxin. And there's so many studies on how it negatively impacts our health. There's links to cancer, there's links to heart disease. There's a lot of links to digestive problems and constipation and things that maybe you don't even realize are linked to alcohol use. But when you step away from it and you give your body time away from alcohol, you realize, like, I feel better, my blood report is better, all of these benefits are coming from just cutting this one thing out. Okay, so now that you see that there's these 7 reasons, and these are the 7 things that I've really appreciated, and really, like I said, I went into 30 days to step away from alcohol just as a challenge, just to be healthy. And then as all of these areas of my life improved, it's like I would be crazy to go back and start drinking again. Like, there's no benefit to it other than it was a habit. I thought I got relaxation out of it, but now that I'm on the other side of it, I realize I'm actually naturally more relaxed without it. So there was no reason to go back to it. So my extra credit for you this week is, it's a big ask. It's a big, big ask and a big challenge. But I'm gonna put it out there for you. And that is to do what I did, which is just take a 30-day break from alcohol. I'm not asking you to sit there and say, I'm convinced I'm never going to drink again. And maybe that's not the path that you'll ultimately take, but give yourself the opportunity to feel how your body feels, your mind, your emotions. How does all of that feel without alcohol for 30 days. Because, it's one thing to go like a week or 2 weeks, but really to give your body the chance to rebalance itself and for you to get into just the habit. It takes about 21 days to form a habit. What does life feel like without alcohol? Give yourself that gift and see. Maybe you'll come up with 14 reasons that your life is better without alcohol, but give yourself that chance. And so before we close here, I do want to give you just a few little ideas on how do you do this, right? It can sound really daunting, especially if, you normally drink socially with the important people in your life on a regular basis. It's to make this big change, you have to kind of go into it prepared. And so the first thing is really that social support and just letting the people close to you know, hey, doing this challenge, inviting them to do it with you. That's the most, that is the easiest way to make this change happen faster and more smoothly is if you have someone doing it with you. It's always going to be easier with somebody to do it with you. And so even if you can't get somebody to do it with you, at least expressing it, hey, I'm doing this for 30 days. I want some support. No, there's not a problem. I just want to feel how my body reacts and how do I feel without alcohol? Because that is the first thing that people will ask. It's oh, did you have a problem with alcohol? It's no, I was a drinker like everybody else, but I wanted to see what it's like not to drink, And so you might have some of those conversations and that's okay, right? You're doing this to improve your life, to improve yourself. Another thing that's really helpful is to have a replacement drink. Because we're still going to be socializing. We're still going to be in these, situations where you're going to have a drink in your hand. And so it's just finding something else, finding a replacement drink, whether that be a mocktail, whether that be a sparkling water, finding something that works for you and making that your new default, right? Just a replacement item. Another thing, and this really, I think, kind of pushed me over, was there's a lot of books out there, and they call it quit lit, quitting literature, on people who have made this lifestyle shift and all of the reasons. And there's so many different, from science to, relationships to health. And, I've touched just the surface of these benefits. But if you look into just look into some of the books that are out there and maybe listen to or read a couple of them in that 30 days. One that I can recommend is Alan Carr. He has some really great literature on how to quit any substance. So he has one on how to drink less. But there's a lot of books out there. So if you find an author that you can kind of connect with or someone that's maybe similar to you and they're sharing their story, it's cool. It really gives you more of just another person's perspective and experience that you can then apply to yourself. And it's just more education, right? Getting more information. So that's it. I really hope that you take this challenge. Again, I know this is a big topic. It's a big, sensitive topic, but I'm here just to give you permission and really to encourage you to try life without alcohol. Give yourself that gift of feeling what it feels like to be free of the toxin that is alcohol. So I hope you appreciated and liked this episode. Please subscribe, drop me a comment, let me know if you're going to do this challenge, if you've already done this challenge and you're on this same journey that I'm on. But I appreciate you watching and I will see you next week.
Thanks for watching Developing Potential with Diana Coulian.